What's up traders, welcome to Failure to Displace. Today we're going to take a look at the Silver Bullet setup in the London session with a fantastic lesson learned today. So really valuable lessons we learned in this session. We're going to jump back in time now and take a look at the live execution that I took on this trade, and do stay to the end because it's really an eye-opening session here and highlighted some flaws in my own personal trading style. So with that said, let's jump back in time to the beginning of the session and see how this plays out. We are breaking out and displacing above this high at the moment. So we've had a strong impulse up, taken the Asia high. We have another 15-minute swing high here from the Friday session. Price started displacing through this high on the 1 minute. So I thought if we get a retracement back to around 50%, which is where we are now, there could be an entry to take out the higher swing high, which would give us our 5 pips. And then because price is looking so bullish, potentially we are riding this up to take out Friday's high. And so price tagged that. I was looking at the Dixie, and we can see Dixie has similarly taken the Asia low and is pulling lower. But a breaker structure slightly higher here, but obviously it's driving for these equal lows. Now it put in equal lows. So this is one of those situations where I've identified a higher time frame liquidity, which is just above us. We've broken a level of liquidity with displacement, so we started displacing higher. So I'm expecting price to continue to try and take the higher one. So I'm not waiting for a breaker structure at all. I'm just getting in on a fair value gap to take the high. So we're jumping in at the beginning of the Silver Bullet, expecting this to push higher and take out these highs. If we were going to reverse, this was the breaker structure I was looking at for a reversal, so we would have had to have taken that with displacement lower for a short trade. We'll move the stop loss underneath this low because we don't want it to come back any lower than that. So we can see Dixie's continuing to drop, which is a good sign. It's displacing lower, which means that Euro should be pumping. And we've just taken the 5 handles. So that's a really nice example of an actual Silver Bullet trade playing out. We identified a higher time frame draw on liquidity. We saw price displacing through an earlier level of liquidity, which means that we weren't looking for a short. It was pumping higher, getting very close to taking out the initial high. On this pullback, it was coming back into a fair value gap, so we could jump into a trade at this fair value gap, looking to ride this up to take the higher level of liquidity. The stop was originally a 5 pip stop loss with a 5 pip take profit, so a 1-to-1 trade, meaning that if I risked $200, I would earn 200, which is the setup. And now we're just waiting, expecting this liquidity to get taken. So yeah, we'll stick that back at 5. And so lovely to see that play out in live time, and we've just taken that liquidity high now. As extra confluence on the trade, I was using the Dixie, seeing the Dixie was breaking through the Asia low again with displacement. So this was telling me that the Dixie was looking very bearish because these are negatively correlated, inversely correlated. When the Dixie is dropping, we are expecting the euro to be pumping. So the dollar is weak, meaning that the euro is strong, so it should continue higher, which is what's happened in this case now. So now we've taken that liquidity out, which was the 15-minute swing high here. we're into this fair value gap. We could potentially get a reversal now back into the range, or price could continue higher just to take out Friday's high. The one thing that's making me think we may go higher is how much space there is on the Dixie to come down and take these lower levels. So we can see that there's huge gaps in liquidity, fair value gaps to be filled, which means the Dixie could be dropping all the way down here. So if the Dixie is going to be very weak today to come and fill in these inefficiencies, then we should see a strong euro continue to possibly take out the Friday high. So that was the analysis and a successful trade. So yeah, really happy with that. Really happy with that analysis, really happy with the way that played out. Essentially zero drawdown. As soon as we were tagged in, price continued higher, hit our 5 pip take profit. Let's just now monitor this to see if we can get a 2-to-1, if this would play out. So this is Future Seb talking to you now as I'm editing this video. I'm going to highlight this is where things start going wrong for me. Instead of being happy with the 1-to-1 closed trade, walking away from the charts and taking the profits, this is where I start talking myself into a possible short trade, reversal, trying to be really clever here and grab the high and then look for the reversal to trade it back into the range. This is despite the fact that I had already analysed that we were in bullish price action and likely to be going higher. Still monitoring for the 2-to-1 at this point, but the seed is just setting that I could get a reversal here and be really clever. So one of the massive flaws in my current psychology is this. It's overconfidence. I've had points in time where I've been very, very profitable, and then I unfold things very, very quickly. Instead of just taking the profits and walking away, I sit there feeling invincible and start taking too many trades, giving all of my profits back too quickly. So this is the point where we can see things just start to unfold after a very successful trade. Let's keep watching and see how this plays out. Suspect lows here. This is what's got me worried. All these equal lows here on Dixie. That's why I'm not 100% confident in this, because if Dixie decides to come down and take all of these lows out, then this is just going to go for the highs again. I would have preferred for this to just tag that and be rejecting nice and quickly. This consolidation before coming back has me worried. In fact, because I don't like the look of that, I'm going to cancel this trade on MetaTrader. So I aren't going to take this short on MetaTrader. We'll leave it on TradingView. But I'm not going to take this on my actual account. There's too many things making me think that we could go higher here. So this is Future Seb, just jumping in to congratulate myself on that decision there. So that's one thing I did do very well in this session. I did talk myself out of taking that short because of what I was seeing in price action. Previously I probably would have jumped into that, but I did cancel that, so now we're just monitoring. That's the loss there, so I'm really glad I caught this on camera, to be fair. This is why I like to take profit at 5 pips, and I don't like to try and take second trades in the session. I like to grab my profits, close the screen, and not bother, because this is a perfect example of what has happened to me in the past. This is overconfidence, thinking that I know what I'm doing. I went through a stint of this earlier on in this year where I was trading with my live funds, made a load of profits, thought I'd cracked it, was just getting ready to start scaling up, and literally gave all of the profits back within a week, which got me thinking that there was something fundamentally wrong with the way I was approaching the markets. So I reverted back to demo, and I'm trying to dig myself out of a drawdown on demo now, just to try and keep my psychology right. And this shows why I need to work on these things. I didn't take this trade, so I'm happy. I cancelled out of this one on MetaTrader before it happened. So I didn't take the entry there. This highlights exactly what happens in my mentality, what I've been doing in the past. Would take a good trade, think that I was the master of the markets and could read everything perfectly, would then start trying to take reversals or taking more trades than I needed to, and then just giving the profits back. So the initial bias was bullish. We took the bullish trade with the draw and liquidity being here. We grabbed our 5 pips. That was it, done and dusted. A potential reversal showed itself, maybe overcomplicating things by looking at the Dixie, which we didn't need to do, which is another thing that I've tried to eliminate. So I'm slipping back into old habits here, pulling up the Dixie and trying to look for SMT and all that kind of stuff. Whereas if I just eliminate the Dixie, stick to the original bias, happy with the 5 pips, and close out, or potentially close 50% at 5 pips, so we're risk free. 50% off the table, 50% left running, so it would be a risk-free trade now, and I could leave that running for a potential 2-to-1 and not be worrying about trying to catch these reversals that essentially constitute overtrading for me. Price has come down, just pulled back into the range, tapped off this order block here, and is now accelerating away. So we're still bullish price action. Makes sense. Let's remove that. And see, I'm really glad that I caught that. This is something that I will refer back to. It's a very important video is this for me. I will refer back to this now as an exact example of what I have done in the past and what I need to avoid doing in the future. I'm really happy with the way I managed it, in that I didn't actually take this trade on MetaTrader. It's quite good that this played out the way it has done, because if this had been profitable, then that could have essentially instilled too much confidence in my mind, thinking that I could do this day in, day out, and I can't. So really, really good example. So let's get that off the chart. Learn from that mistake. Let's look at this 2-to-1, which effectively would be a risk-free trade if I was revising my risk management. And see if we get the 2-to-1 on this. The ultimate thing is I was able to walk in, execute on a long position, going for the draw and liquidity with a perfect silver bullet setup off this fair value gap here, aiming for the high. Closed itself out within 5 minutes. Happy days, done dusted. There's no need for me to be sat in front of the charts now doing this on that basis, which is just the ideal way of trading. In 5 minutes, take my 1-to-1. I've earned my money for the session. I can just go and enjoy life now and not have to sit through any of this. Instead of trying to be clever, trying to time reversals, even now holding for, how long has this been? So the entry was at 11 minutes past. We're at 56. You know, we're nearly 50 minutes into holding a trade when I could have been out in 5. Closed out in 5 and just forget about it. Hey guys, so there you go. That was a valuable lesson. We are back in real time now. This is Future Seb speaking to you. We can see that the 2-to-1 on this never played out. Price consolidated underneath the high that we had highlighted. So this buy side liquidity, we just consolidated under the high, and eventually we have reversed, and it would have taken a stop loss. So again, highlighting why I love these 5 pip take profits in and out of the market in 5 minutes, instead of literally sitting through all of this only to find out that this would have been a break-even trade. Superb session, actually. Mistakes were made, overconfidence there. I did rectify them before it actually cost me any money. So I'm very pleased with myself for actually being able to identify that. And I really hope that at least somebody out there can relate to this and it helps you out, or helps you to identify potential flaws in your own psychology. Because honestly, reading the charts and reading the levels is probably the simplest thing. The most difficult thing is actually controlling your own psychology and controlling your own impulses to get involved and trade every single move. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Please consider subscribing if you want to see more content from this. We're all learning together. Valuable lessons are being shown here, and leave any questions in the comment section down below. It'd be great to get some feedback from you guys, and I'll be back again later today with some New York session reviews. Thanks again, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.